Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weekly Meltdowns coverage of Celebrity Big Brother 3. We are here for the first live eviction of the night. A lot more eventful of an episode than I thought it would be. We actually surprisingly have a lot to break down, a lot to talk about. So to carry this season along with me here is Andrew. How are you doing, Andrew?
Doing good. 2-hour episodes are draining, but it was good.
Well, I'm good. I'll say yesterday's episode felt longer than tonight's episode, and yesterday's episode was only 1 hour.
So my issue, and I have this in a note, and we can go ahead and bring it up now. My issue is it's a and this is the hard part about Celebrity Big Brother, right? It's so condensed, okay? Tomorrow we're supposed to do HOH and noms, the competition and the nomination. Like, I feel like in a 2-hour episode, they should have put the HOH comp tonight, right? Like, we should have got, like we would in the normal season, that HOH comp in the end. Because in this kind of a season, if you're not watching the feeds, you're missing so much of the gameplay because it's so condensed. We have an eviction on Monday.
Yeah. All of that is very fair. And you know, like, you're right. Like, it was a 2-hour episode. So maybe they could have cut, like, 1 or 2 of those segments and just done, like, a quick, like, carnival games type of, like, putting, like, the longest putt towards, like, a goalpost or something like that for HOH.
Something.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you on that, and it would be fun to, like, after this, like, turn on the feeds and, like, see who the HOH is and see them having their first conversations, especially because, like, we've been so robbed of seeing, like, the first week on the feeds as is. So, like, I'm ready to, like, jump into, like, the next week and see how they get going with all this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's that part kind of a season. I mean, again, an eviction's 2 episodes away. So that means in 2 hours of TV, we have an HOH, a veto comp, 2 ceremonies. Where's the gameplay? And then they're going to have their cheesy segments that are going to be built in there. And that's going to take away from so much of this gameplay in a season where the gameplay has actually existed this early, which is kind of rare for a Celebrity Big Brother season.
Yeah. So do you want to, like, anything you want to touch on with the gameplay first before we, I'm kind of like deciding, like, do we want to talk about, like, the live portion or, like, the, like, hour and 15 minutes of, like, gameplay that we got first? What do you think? What's
I'm open. If I had one word to describe this season, it's messy. Like, this is so messy. And a lot of that is what you said. It's Todrick.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so, like, it was news to me tonight how, like, in front Carson's game is, right? Like, if I feel like everybody is turning on him, like, everybody's saying that he's a really dangerous player in this game. But honestly, Andrew, I feel like this all stems from Carson beating Misha in a competition that was a little physical. That's where I feel like the wheels, like, really start turning against him.
And one of my notes in that competition, Tyler, is Carson was very lucky in that comp because I think he made a lot of guesses based on clues that he saw. And that luck played into the competition. Like, I think he placed a lot of these cards and a lot of these numbers and spots guessing, and they turned out to be right. So that was, I put that. I think that Carson got a little lucky in some of his guesses because some of his clues he's putting it there, and I'm like, okay, he's making some inferences, and then he can move them later, and they happen to be right. So I don't think that was necessarily as much a definition of Carson being a competition threat as it was just Carson got lucky.
Right, exactly. And, like, of course, like, we saw Todrick was, like, he kind of had his eyes on Carson as a target already, like, even before the comp. But now this is just, like, a very convenient excuse for Todrick to use to Misha to kind of get her on board. And I'll tell you, like, as much as I want to see Todrick kind of, like, overplay and get caught for it, I do have to give him his roses tonight. I think he's playing a pretty good game. I think that Misha is a perfect number 2 for him because she's somebody that will win a lot of the competitions. And somebody that will just listen to him blindly and follow him blindly. So, like, he gets, like, this person to have all the power for him, but he still has the ultimate say of what's going on in the house. So very impressive.
I talked to Tiffany a lot before this season because I'm seeing a lot of her gameplay and some of the moves.
That's a really good observation. I could totally see that. Yeah. But my question to you, Andrew, is like, is it too soon for Todrick to be going so aggressively against Carson, right? Because I feel like once Carson's gone, does Todrick become the next Carson pretty quickly? I presume yes, but
so yes, but what Todrick's doing now is Todrick's being more messy than Carson, but he's making Carson look messier than him, right? So it's so true in the aspect that Todrick is playing the messiest game. He's been in multiple alliances. He's been in multiple scenarios, and that's going to get called out with his vote a little bit tonight, right? Like, I mean, it's not gonna, he's not going to be able to hide it as much as he did in the past. But not only the vote, one of the things that I put on here, and I know we're going to talk about this in general, was in the Mon 1, Todrick picks Catan because Catan would have taken off Teddy.
Right.
That's the whole reason he picked Catan. It was because Catan would have taken Teddy down, and Todrick wanted Teddy to go. That was the best move in that selection of events right there, was Todrick picking Catan, because if not, Catan would have gone up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like where I saw that the bag like headed, and we can like talk about that a little bit more down the line. There's some like other flashback stuff that I want to get to, because I think I said in our chat, like, I'm very impressed with how the editors handled this episode and kind of catching us up to speed on like this whole week of events that we didn't get to see. I think that they really covered everybody's bases. Of course, like we saw some house guests get a little bit more spotlight than others, but I think that we're seeing like a division in people that are playing really hard, really aggressively. And it kind of reminds me of like old school Big Brother in a fun way, if that makes any sense. Like we're seeing people play aggressively, not the most like intelligent gameplay, right? Like Misha, like having that conversation with Teddy didn't go very well at all. I thought that went like a little too aggressive for what it needed to be. Like her saying like there's a line drawn in the sand, right? Like and we have to start playing this. It's a game, Teddy. And I'm like, it's really not that serious yet. Right. Like this is week 1. But so to kind of like round off this thought, like I was thinking, like, is it because like the cast is just playing so badly that like it's just like entertaining, or is it because we're starting with only 11 people, so like the squeeze feels a little tight already here in the first week? Well, I don't know, what do you think?
From a production value, from casting, from twists, from competitions, from structure, this is the best season of Celebrity Big Brother we've already ever had, and I can tell you that it will be like that at the end of the season from week 1. These are people that know the game, love the game, want to play the game. We don't have your Meta World pieces, your Chuck Liddells, your people that really don't know what's going on and are just kind of here to collect that check, boost their likes, and move on with life. And then again, we'll talk about it more later. The twist was so subtle but so impactful at the same time to not take away from anything. It was beautiful. The structure was great. The house is great. I agree with what you're saying at a production level. I do give hats off to the production team for how they've handled Celebrity Big Brother so far. Now, I say so far, twist needs to end with Mon 1. We're done.
Yes.
Let's play VB, right?
We're good. Yeah, exactly.
We don't have enough time to go into too many other. And there for a minute, when Julie was interviewing Teddy, she was like, but Teddy, I thought she was about to announce a damn comeback. Yeah. There for 2 seconds with Julie signing off with Teddy, I thought, and I was like, oh, don't you do that. Not in that season. But no, I agree. From a production value, yes, it feels very old school Big Brother. It feels very, very good. I'm excited to see where the season is going. Fix the damn feeds, and we're going to be doing okay.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, that like even like the house is feeling old school Big Brother, because I actually had that in my notes tonight. Like they're really going all in on like the Swiss Alps theme, right? Like in the premiere, I was like, why is this person yodeling? But like now I get it a little bit more. But like even the veto comp that we saw tonight had like a Swedish Alps like shopping town type of vibe to it. So I hope that like production continues to go all in on their themes, because like when I think of like the best Big Brother houses, I think of like a Big Brother 10, like through like the decades. I think of honestly Big Brother 9 with their like Mountain Lodge theme. I thought that one was really good too.
And the love theme was kind of carried through on that pretty well.
All Stars with the 7 Deadly Sins, like Big Brother 8 with Alice in Wonderland, of course. But I'm liking the theme, and I hope it continues. And I think that they do have a new director for competition design this season on Celebrity Big Brother. So,
and I love that comp. I loved the veto comp tonight. I thought it was great.
Too.
It was kind of different. It was kind of new. It fit the celebrity theme too. So you're right. It fit the Swiss Alps theme, but it also fit this celebrity kind of theme with the assistant and the clues. And it was, I don't think we've seen anything really like that before.
Yeah. So I don't know. All good things. Another player I kind of want to like zoom in on is Mirai. She's really impressing me as she's just a very fun character here in Big Brother that we haven't really seen too much of. Like we saw her like talk with Lamar about like Asian representation, and she's like really spoke on this like quite a few times already, and like the pressure. And I love that moment when Chris Kattan like hugged her and was like, "It's okay to show emotion, like you're good." And I feel like somebody, especially as like an Olympic competitor, has like built their whole life up to like putting all this pressure and stuff on themselves. So it's fun to see Mirai like playing so aggressively, but in a very like unapologetic way. It's almost like she is going into Big Brother like on borrowed time or something, and she's just like, I don't care like what happens to me, I'm just gonna like play balls out and see what happens. I don't know, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I love her. She's and even the conversation she had up there where she's like, okay, you nominated me, but I can squash that because it's best for us moving forward. The strategy is there. I think she's great. I do think she can be a very deep threat. She was my winner pick in the last conversation that we had, not on my team, but she was my winner pick. But I want to zoom in on someone else you mentioned.
Okay.
We said this last season, and it was so like a joke. Don't sleep on Chris Kattan.
Yeah, I'm kind of like warming up to him, and I wish Allison was with us tonight because I'm sure she would be like, "I told y'all so about Chris Kattan. Don't sleep on him." But you're right, Andrew. He's warming up to me as a player in this game.
His strategy's not going to be there, but he's going to play this likable pawn.
Yeah,
can very well be sitting there on finale night.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm really, really enjoying him so far. And I guess we can kind of like transition that into everything that happened tonight, because he had a big decision here. He was like one of the last people to get the bag. Just to recap, what was it? The Mon
Wan, and how we did not pick up on that. We should have picked up on that.
I know, shame on me. But Chris Kirkpatrick apparently knew he had figured it out beforehand, so he kind of like sniffed this one out. But wish we could have seen that on the feeds. But
well, it happened during the commercial break.
Yeah, that's true. But so we saw them. So it started with Cynthia. She has to pass the bag down to somebody, and that somebody is safe from being a nominee. So whoever is the last one to hold the bag is now one of the nominees, and we all thought it would be like a third nominee situation, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of all of us thought, especially like first week, like that's a pretty safe twist to like throw in just for like the shock value, right? But no, this person has to choose one of the two nominees to replace themselves with on the block. So it came down to Todrick. Todrick gave the bag to Chris Kattan, and he had to choose between Todd Bridges or Lamar. And so Chris chose Lamar, and Todd went on the block, and he chose Mirai to take off the block. Which I kind of like felt like Mirai's like nervous, like tension. I felt like she was like so nervous in that moment that Teddy was about to be taken off the block, and it would have been her going home. But no, Todd took her off, and it ended up being a lot closer of a vote than I thought it would be too.
I'm not that surprised. I mean, because you have the gays and gals that I knew were going to stick together, except Todrick. So those three of Cynthia and Carson didn't surprise me at all. And then Kattan is Kattan, and we don't know where he's going to go. And what would have been funny is if if Todrick doesn't do what he does, I truly think he would have been that second nom, and he would have taken off Teddy, which probably would have sent him home. When if he would have taken off Mirai, he would have stayed. So that would have been fun to watch, right? Yeah, so I wasn't surprised that it was that close, because as I was doing my little chart as they were voting, I was like, there's 3 of them there. I mean, it should have tied if that true alliance sticks.
Yeah, exactly. So it could have happened, but I mean, I guess like kind of like bigger picture, like this could have been a really big opportunity. Like, what happens if well, first of all, I said this in chat and I tweeted this out and I posted this on Reddit. There should not have been a commercial break once like this twist is announced. I wish that there was like Julie said, you guys are on lockdown. And this is very like BB Can style. If we watch BB Can 2 and do like a rewatch, you will see this, Andrew. Julie needs to go on the prompter and say, this is total lockdown. You guys are not allowed to speak. If you speak, you are automatically a third nominee or something. This is the twist. Cynthia, decide right now. And just go right into it, right? Like, don't like tell them this twist and then say, we'll be right back. And then it shows them all talking about it. They're in the living room together. I'm like, stop. Like, this could like just, you know, this like say like Todd like wanted to go home, right? Like say this was last season with Keisha Pulliam-Nider or however you say her name. She would just say, all right, guys, just like put me up. Like, I don't want to be here. I want to go. So like, just give me the bag. Make sure I end up with it. And then we waste like a really cool twist on just a lame like whoopsie on production. So like, don't cut to commercial. I don't know. I feel very strongly about that.
I agree 100%. And Caitlin's "my breast milk is depleting" comment is great. Too much. I agree 100% with what you're saying, especially in a normal season. I feel like the commercial break was there to answer questions that might have existed from people like Chris Kattan, right?
Exactly.
You have celebrities that don't know what's going on, that don't know what's happening. And I truly feel that that's why they put that commercial break. Maybe I'm giving production too much credit on that. There were 500,000 commercial breaks in tonight's episode. And if we really wanted to do an HOH, they only needed to cut 2 of those. I don't like watching a 2-hour episode when 1 hour of them are commercial breaks. But yeah, I agree. But I think that might have been the reasoning.
Yeah, and that makes sense, but I feel like there's still a way to like, I mean, Julie could even say, we're going to go to a commercial break so we can further explain the rules, but there's no talking about like the order of the passing of the bag, or I don't know, just something like that, right? But I think it was a really cool twist overall. And I think this is a really great twist to kind of throw in week 1, or maybe I should say when there's 11 people left in the game, because I feel like this twist would be like equally as effective like 3 weeks down the line in like a normal season when it's down to 11 and the alliances are kind of in place, but still like it's still early, so things can change. And I feel like that's kind of like the pace that we're at right now in the Celebrity Big Brother house. Is everybody kind of has their people, but it's still like a very fluid situation. So this kind of like exposes everybody's cards tonight in a really nice way.
I want to go back to something, Tyler, we talked about earlier, because I had it written in my notes, but I missed it. You talked about Todrick and Carson leaving, and does that expose Todrick more? Yes, but I think Todrick's setting up for that. And the reason I say that is he might be this messy social person, but who's his number one? The biggest competition threat in the house. Yeah. So even if Carson goes, he can hide behind Misha a little bit to then still have that meat shield there. So I had that note down and I forgot to mention that earlier, but I think Todrick's setting that up really, really well. Todrick is thinking long game.
Yeah, and the key to that, Andrew, to making sure that happens, like to make sure that Keisha is kind of like in front of him when the crosshairs happen, is just to make sure that he has a better social game than her. And I think it works to his benefit a lot that she is up in that HOH room all week, or like 10 days, right? Like we often forget like how long this first HOH reign truly goes on in the Big Brother house. But I mean, during all that time, Todrick is downstairs mingling with everybody else and making those great connections with everybody. So I think I totally agree, Andrew. And I think that he is thinking long term, and that's why he's kind of setting himself up to make himself not like the as isolated one out of the two of them, I should say.
Yeah, if Misha and Todrick are sitting on the block together, Misha's going home.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And so that's what it's setting up. If somebody gets the opportunity to backdoor somebody, Misha's going to be a backdoor if that opportunity exists, right?
Yeah.
And because they're scared of this competition game, and so Todrick has created that great shield that can buy him 1 to 2 more rounds.
Yeah.
And now you get Mirai in there, who I think is probably your 2 biggest competition threats. So, I mean, I just think his position to say, I'm not going to go with this first alliance that was created because I don't think it's going to be long-term, and to position that week 1 to create that wave and really create 3 enemies, I think it was genius.
Oh, sorry. I think my internet is okay. I think I'm back now. I heard everything you were saying, but your cam was frozen, so I was like, "What?"
Yeah, no, I think it was genius. I think it was smart. I think he had a great setup.
Totally. And here's the thing too. Like after tonight, there's only 10 people left. So we're not that far away, really, from it being 6 house guests left, and everybody competes in the power of veto. So the opportunity for him to not like Kevin Martin win out towards the end of this game, which he very, very well could do. Like I would think that would happen on him more than anybody else this season, is like once it gets to the point where he's playing in every veto, he wins either HOH or veto until the end, so that there's truly no way to get him out. So I feel like Todrick just needs to maneuver himself for like the next like 3 rounds to make sure that he's in a good safe spot, and then just have a really killer end game with the competitions.
Did I miss this? Did she say that Teddy was the jury, or are we starting at 9?
I believe for all. That's a good question.
Because celebrity in the past has been all of them. Chuck Liddell was on the first jury.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
but I don't remember her saying that she was on the jury.
I'm not sure, but I think I would assume, unless we were being told differently, I would assume that everybody gets a vote at the end.
I would assume that too. I just don't remember if it was said or not.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything, but so we have in the chat from Matt Henning, he says, I may have lost my first person, but I have the same amount of people as Tyler, and I had the first HOH and first veto winner. So who's winning? Still me.
I would say not you, because you have the 2 biggest threats in the house.
Yeah, true. But so here is our draft updated. I did go ahead and accept that the question mark conspiracy theory was not happening. So I went ahead and graded that out, and Matt has lost his first team member. So just to recap for people listening on podcasts. So Beth has Mirai, Lamar, and Shayna. Matt has Carson and Misha. And Teddy, who went home tonight. I myself have Chris Kirkpatrick and Cynthia. And Andrew has Todd, Todrick, and Chris Kattan. So that is where we stand with the draft teams. And we also have a question from Deb that I wanted to get into with you.
Before we go to that question, I do want to say, Tyler.
Yeah.
I think you have the strongest draft team right now.
I'm telling you, I feel really good about my 2 picks here.
Patrick is impressing me.
He's doing everything that I said that he would do in our draft, right? Like he's very like under the radar, nice guy. I mean, he is like I hate to call him this, but like not the star of NSYNC, but he was in like a music group. He's not like an athlete, and he's like somehow found himself in this athletes alliance by Misha. So I feel like he has all of his bases covered. And there were some rumors that he had a big fight with Mirai, and that was the reason that the live feeds were delayed, is because they had to remove him and put him in a hotel room for the night. And apparently it stemmed from her saying something about him just being a backup dancer for NSYNC or something like that. So I don't know how true that is, but that's definitely a point of contention that we can kind of keep an eye on and see if but I feel like it's not in either of their interests to really be going after each other.
But I feel like I truly feel if that would have happened, they'd have had to show that.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
There's no way it doesn't get brought up later. There's no way you can edit that out in the future when it comes to votes and things like that. So yeah, I read that rumor. I don't know that I buy it.
Yeah. Of course, another rumor was that Chris Kirkpatrick had a false positive COVID test. So they took him out just to make sure. And they were wearing like masks for 24 hours in the Big Brother house. So that's why they didn't do the feeds. But and that kind of makes more sense because like the wording was, we'll update you on Friday. Not the live feeds are turning on Friday. So I think they were like maybe wondering, like seeing if it played out. Just kind of like being careful with their wording, but who knows? But either way, that's something to keep an eye on if that argument was true. I don't think that I buy it, but I don't know, just something to keep an eye on. And then Deb asks, are we going to discuss Lamar shitting the bed? Yes. So on the live feeds last night, Lamar shit his drawers in the Big Brother house, and he did not only let his house guess that he was sleeping in the room with now, he also sent it straight to the cameras when he walked to the bathroom to walk into the shower. He said to the cameras, "I just shit my pants, man." Great, Lamar bringing the entertainment this season. I loved tonight how he was like, after Teddy gets announced that she's being evicted, he's like, "Do we sit back down? Do we walk her out?" I was like, oh my God.
And you could also tell who the Big Brother fans were, because they were like, keep the door open, hold it. Like, there's no live studio audience, guys, right? Like, you don't have that effect as much.
So I thought all those were funny, but so that happened in the Big Brother house.
He is a smarter Meta world piece, and I mean they're both basketball players, right? But I mean, Meta just didn't really want to play. I agree. There, but Lamar is still showing his presence. He's being active. He might not be strategic or know that he's even playing a game, but he's at least making some connections and some social aspects. So I feel like in a lostness of the game, he's very comparable to a Meta, but he's actually one that wants to be there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that comparison, 1,000%.
Yeah, Caitlin's right. That statement, that shipment of the bed will win him back Chloe.
One last thing I wanted to mention was Julie Chen in her exit interview with Teddy asks, who do you feel like most bitter towards that voted you out? And she says Todrick. So my question is, like, is Todrick gonna play like a little too well, a little too almost like a Paul type of game, making everybody feel good on the way out, and then they just feel totally betrayed?
So it's gonna depend, right? In a normal season of Celebrity Big Brother, I say that they are more bitter jurors just because that's all they base it on. But we do have some super fans in this house that I think will vote for the better player. It's all going to depend on how close it is, because if you have a Chris Kattan or if you have a Lamar Odoms, that's this swing vote in the end, they might not respect that, or even a Todd Bridges that doesn't know the game, they might not respect that, and it could be close. But I think people like Carson, I think people like Cynthia, I think people like Misha, Shayna, even Teddy, I think that they respect the game enough that they are going to vote for the better player. But the other tricky part you have to realize in Celebrity Big Brother is they don't go to sequester.
Right, so exactly.
Every DR, they see every aspect. That could be a curse or a blessing, because you see more justification as to why the move was made, but you also see more of the bitter statements that could be made. So it's a catch-22.
Right. Yeah, so we'll see about that. That's something I'm going to keep an eye on as well, because you're right. Like with Celebrity Big Brother, like not going to jury, and Teddy being the first one out, it's almost like how, like, when you go to the jury house, if you're the first one there, you're often very influential about the group think as they come to you. So same could be said for Teddy being the first one out of the Celebrity Big Brother house. Say like, gosh, I don't know, like, say like Mirai goes out next week or something. She's going to talk to Teddy, and Teddy's going to be like, I feel really betrayed by Todrick. And then it just like starts the ball rolling for some bitter jurors at the end towards him. So,
but in Todrick's case, and like in Mirai's case, if she were to go, that's also the reason that Mirai survived that vote, right? So yeah, she might feel betrayed, but there is that catch on the other. I will say I wish there was sequester, because I would love jury house segments with this group of people.
That would be fun. That would be fun. But I gotta say, so Caitlin Weaver at the beginning of the night, she said to whoever hated this cast when they were first announced, how do you like being wrong? And I'm here to say tonight, I think it's time for me to say I was wrong. I was very bullish on this cast, but I'm really liking the season so far. Again, it's still very early, so we'll see. But I think the pace is right for this cast.
Yeah, again, though, and with that, Tyler, I think that a lot of that, and I said this in our draft, it was expectation versus reality, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't that it was a bad cast. We were just expecting bigger names from the rumor mill and things that we were saying, and to see 90% of the rumor mill that we were excited about be wrong, I think that was more of the disappointment than disappointment in the actual cast itself.
Right, that's true. I mean, I always say the key to happiness is low expectations. So maybe I
Celebrity
just
Big Brother better not end. Celebrity Big Brother better not end until I get Tiffany Pollard. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Andrew, who do you think is who do you want to be HOH next?
I think a Cynthia one would be fun.
I think a Cynthia one would be fun as well. And also Shayna, like one of those two, because they're a little more under the radar, a little less positioned well, a little less connected. So I want to see them get power and what they do with it and how that shakes up like the big alliance structure that's pretty prominent here in the game.
I also think those are the two that I think of the most. I think a Mirai would probably put there too. I'd be okay with that. But it'd also just be fun as crap for a Chris Kattan, a Todd Bridges, or a Lamar Odom HOH, right?
That would be chaos.
That would just be insanely fun. So either way, that's the case. I really don't want to see a Todrick. I don't want to see this power alliance that's existing right now. And that core, I would say, is Todrick, Misha. If Misha can't win, I would throw Mirai in there. I think Lamar, they would have a lot of influence on, but I still think it would just be entertaining.
Yeah. Exactly, and that's what we're here for, especially for Celebrity Big Brother. Is just we're here for the mess, and we have a messy cast, so let's just keep it going. But if any producers are watching this show, good job on the twist tonight. And I very rarely come on the show and say good job to the twist, but
the best Big Brother twist in probably 6 to 7 seasons.
I would have to think long and hard about that, but I would probably agree with that. There's nothing that's like immediately coming to mind, at least for BBUS anyway. BB is like a whole different monster.
And the BBUS twists are just so repetitive. It's the same thing in a different shell, right? But this was so original. It was so great, and it changed the way the eviction was set up. It wasn't powers. It wasn't anything like that, and it was good. I'm very impressed with the twist.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for us. Just a short little show tonight. I think we'll be back either Sunday or Monday, one of those 2 days. Maybe Monday for the next eviction, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But any last thoughts, Andrew?
No, I'm super excited for the rest of the season. If the first week is as good as the rest of the season, not even the first week. We've been in the house 4 days. We got feeds last night, right? And it's so entertaining right now. And you're right. That's what you want in a CBB season. So my hopes are high. And we'll hope that they deliver.
Yep. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in on this Friday night. Thank you guys so much. And we love you guys. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye guys.